Hey, this is Mama Saint Sire. We might be tempted to think, what's the point of all this? What's the point of religion? What's the point of God? Like, who gives a shit? You know? What's God ever done for me? Like, what's the reason behind believing in a God anyway? Much less worship or adherence to a certain moral tenet. The thing is like, what we strive for in this life, what we strive for anyway, kind of unconsciously, is comfort and joy. We kind of strive for something. We don't even know a word to put it on. Fulfillment, joy. We're striving to create this comfort that we routinely lose and then have to recreate through the actions that we take or through the things that we enjoy. But this comfort, materially speaking, is fleeting, so it has to be renewed over and over again. There's a concept in the Christian religion that before the time of Jesus, the Jews had to continually sacrifice animals and offer burnt offerings to Yahweh, who was the God of the Jews. And that every year, these sacrifices would have to be renewed in order to cleanse the people of Israel of their sins, in order to cleanse and fulfill them spiritually. But in the Christian religion, it's believed that Jesus was in replacement of those continual sacrifices of sheep and lamb, maybe chickens. I don't know what they actually, goats. But that Jesus, as the Son of God, it's thought, was a kind of permanent and all-pervasive sacrifice. That from then on, no more sacrifices as far as like, literally sacrificing a living thing. So it's a human sacrifice, but beyond human. Like, it's believed by the Christians that it's a superhuman sacrifice, so to speak. And that sacrifice is final and renders all other sacrifices unnecessary. But when you really think about it symbolically, the sacrifice of the animals is kind of like within our own selves. This whole process of sacrificing an animal to God to reclaim your own spirit, to fulfill, to cleanse your sins, that whole process you could almost imagine as you living your life chasing ultimately meaningless but immediately satisfying things. Things that will immediately satisfy or satiate, if that's the word, your senses, but that wears off. The high wears off. It goes away. So you have to continually renew that. But in the symbolism of Christ, the human God-man, Christ, is taken in the stead, in the ultimate stead, of all of these animals and all of these things. So in a sense, our longing and our chasing for temporary gratification, that comfort, that joy that we're seeking, that fulfillment, ought to be replaced by the Son of Man within ourselves, meaning ourselves. Now, of course, it goes without saying that I don't mean a literal sacrifice yourself. What's meant is to sacrifice one's ego, to sacrifice oneself for the greater being of things. And that process of sacrifice is what I think religion is. It's to sacrifice instead of chasing those temporary gratifications, to instead sacrifice something more substantial. Sacrificing yourself in the manner of doing goodwill, having goodwill toward other people. It's that kind of sacrifice which really makes the impact.